Hello. Yes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about strong body paragraphs. Now, I've obviously been looking at your in-class writing paragraphs. You're going to get them back very soon. But before you get them back, we have to think about how we are going to improve them. I'm not saying there was much wrong with them, but we need to think about how to improve them. Um, and to do that, I'd like to think about strong body paragraphs. So it's better if you read this before you actually watch the video, so you get an idea about what I'm talking about. So as it says, a strong body paragraph explains, proves and supports your paper's argumentative claim or thesis statement. If you're not sure how to craft one, try using this handy guide. Now, the reason I'm going through this, and I consider it to be very, very important, is because it offers a structure to your body paragraph. And it's meant to help you make your writing easier, not easy, but easier, and also help you to really focus on the point you're trying to prove in the paragraph in a very clear way, so that there is good explanation. Explanation is the key word here. It all has to be clear, it has to really focus on one point, and so that the reader really understands what you're trying to prove and they are persuaded by your argument. So it's a way of trying to put forward your ideas in one paragraph. It's, what can we say about this? It is very what should we say? It's almost like a revolution in writing, I suppose. I mean, rather than just putting things down, it is, sorry about that, rather than just putting things down and throwing things into a paragraph, it really is focusing your attention on the point you're trying to prove and going ahead and doing that in a structured way. It's meant to help you with your writing. So let's have a look at it anyway. So the first thing then is inserting a topic sentence. We all know what a topic sentence is. It's the one idea that it's not just about what the paragraph is about. It's telling the reader in one sentence and in a detailed sentence what you're trying to prove in that paragraph. So there are no secrets. It should be as detailed as possible, and you're really putting that sentence right at the beginning to tell the reader about what you are trying to prove. Now, number two, it says explain your topic sentence. You don't always have to do that. If your topic sentence is enough, that's enough. But sometimes it's a bit more complicated than that. And if you need to, then you can explain your topic sentence more fully in another sentence. Then we have number three. It says introduce your evidence. So when we think about this, this can be say a sentence that guides the reader. The reader is the most important person here, remember. So it guides the reader into thinking, well, here comes some evidence or support. Okay, so it could be something as simple as Smith states that. It could be something like that, but it might be better to have a whole sentence to introduce the evidence. So if you're talking about global warming, then you could write that, well, global warming is a pressing issue nowadays, and many scientists have considered the underlying reasons for this. And so something like that, to just to get the reader into the idea that some evidence is coming up, maybe like a quotation or something. Yes, so introduce your evidence rather than just throwing in a quotation, because that would really maybe confuse the reader, and think the reader might think, well, what's this all about? You know, I don't understand why a quotation has just been thrown in there. So you have to carefully introduce your evidence. Yep. So then we move on to insert your evidence. So this is evidence or support. Yes, so I'm going to talk about that evidence or support in the next video. So here you insert your evidence. For example, it could be a quotation, it could be a good example, or it could be, say, what should we say, it could be some statistics. Yes, so you insert your evidence. And quite often, I would say, in a paragraph, in a body paragraph, we often have more than one type of evidence or support. So you could have a quotation with statistics, or you could have an example with comparison and contrast. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, this is where you insert your evidence usually, number 4. And then 5 is unpacking your evidence. So, I mean, you know, if you go on holiday, not that anybody is going to go on holiday in the present situation, of course, unless you go, well, you won't even go on an Erasmus trip, obviously, but anyway, but say, for example, in normal peacetime, people might go on holiday. You might remember those days. And then people go on holiday, and when they get there, they unpack the suitcase. And the idea is that you shouldn't forget anything. For example, if you forget your toothbrush, then you're in you know, a bit of a dodgy situation, because you have to go out and buy one, maybe in you know, the next morning. But anyway, so it's unpacking the evidence. So what does that mean then? So, as it says here, explain what the quote or evidence means and why it is important to your argument. The author should agree with how you sum up the quotation. This will help you establish credibility by demonstrating that you do know what the author is saying, even if you don't agree. Often 1 to 2 sentences, I would say just a sentence, really, unless your evidence is particularly long or complicated. That is. So really unpacking the evidence is more or less telling the reader what you consider to be the main point of the evidence. What is the evidence telling you and the reader? Yes. So what does that quotation mean? So you could say something like, what Smith means by this, or what Smith is stating here, or Smith is suggesting that blah blah blah. Okay, just 1 sentence. And then we have number 6, and this is explaining your evidence. This is the most important. Yes, this could be even half of the paragraph. This is really vital, because really you are telling the reader why that evidence or support is important, and how it supports your topic sentence. Remember, the topic sentence is telling the reader what you're trying to prove. Yes, so you should tell the reader what your explanation. It's really, really important, explaining to the reader what the evidence means in terms of what you are trying to prove. Yes, and it really needs careful thought, because it needs to go as deep as possible. Otherwise the reader will reject it and not be persuaded. You are trying to persuade the reader that you are right. Imagine that the reader is there with you, you're having a conversation with them, and they are not open to your ideas. They're opposing you. Okay, then number 7, you insert a concluding sentence. Yes, so this research what the paragraph is about, what you're trying to prove, and how you've proved it, basically. Yes, and so it should have an eye on the what you're trying to prove and the evidence that you